Well, listen, it's about 225 days, I think, until the election. And since I was selected as the candidate in Botany, I've been out and about in the electorate doing a lot of work, meeting a whole bunch of people. And so this morning I was meeting a Chinese businessman, Stephen Wong, who runs a great company called Fresher Foods, which makes potato chips for takeaways and exports around the world. I've been to meet with doctors and medical professionals who have talking about some of the health issues that exist in Botany, and I've been out and about at lots of different events like the Chinese New Year event and Indian Diwali events, and so it's a real privilege to be a local MP because you really have an opportunity to get out and meet a whole range of people, a very diverse group of people, and our job is to try and work out how we help them and do good public service. So it's been a lot of fun already. There is more to do. There's more door knocking to do. There's a lot more campaigning to do between now and then.
I was really knocking the door.
Yes, already. Yes. I go knock on the door and say, hello, I'm Christopher Luxon. I just wanted to introduce myself to you. I'm the new National Party MP candidate, hoping to be the National Party MP. And is there anything I can help you with? And if there is, here's my telephone card and number. So I have. So they've just started that, and there'll be a lot more of that in the coming month, which is really great. So it's a very good electorate, Botany, because it is over 40% Chinese is the number one group. Then there is European New Zealanders, and then there is about 39%, maybe 40%, and then there is the balance, which is Indian, Filipino. So it's a very diverse group, and it's very exciting because that's the new New Zealand that's sitting in Botany, and it's everybody who's there, whether they have been there 40 years or 4 months, are actually trying to get ahead, and they want to improve their life, and they work incredibly hard to live in Botany, which is a fabulous suburb, and it's a very nice part of the country, and so that's the common thing. So no, it's very exciting. The one thing I need for September 19th is I need the Chinese community to vote. So if you do not like this government, you can't sit at home and complain about it with your friends and family. You actually have to go register to vote and then show up on polling day and actually express your view and hopefully vote for me and vote for the National Party, which I think is the best way to go. But
So how to encourage the Chinese community to vote?
Well, I think a lot of it is I'm trying to make sure that all of my communications are equally in English and also in Chinese, because I think sometimes we do English-only communication and not enough Chinese. I have a very good team of people, like Jasmine, like Rion Wong, like Kit Wong. Dr. Yang's been very, very helpful, and working out exactly what it is that we need to talk about. A lot of it is actually education about the system here in New Zealand as a new New Zealander coming to New Zealand, and a lot of it is also we've got to do a better job of communicating and connecting with the community. But I have to say the Chinese community is very supportive of me, and they've been very kind and very welcoming to me, which has been fantastic. Well, the primary job for me is to serve the people of Botany and to make sure that I am helping to make New Zealand lives better. That is why Jian and I are in politics, is because we think we can make a contribution to improve people's daily lives. That's what it's ultimately about, is about service to our people. Within that, because we think, and I think, that there are major challenges around our economic growth. I think there are major challenges around the cost of living here in New Zealand, in Auckland particularly. I think there are major challenges around our infrastructure and how we support growth in this city. I think there are major issues around getting skilled labour into New Zealand and so that people can grow their businesses in a big way. I think there are major challenges around making sure we take the pressure off families and we keep families safe and secure. And so those are the kinds of issues that I really want to work with colleagues on, trying to solve those problems.
Can I add again? So many Chinese are small business owners.
Yes.
I believe in Botany there are many Chinese.
Many.
So
yes.
these people are feeling the pressure.
They are feeling the pressure.
So we will try to help these people too.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I think a lot of our time we find when I talk to Chinese small businesses, a lot of it is the economy is slowing up. Secondarily, there is a lot of cost and compliance that is in regulation that is making it difficult and not easy to do business sometimes. And if we could take the pressure off and free up time so people can work back on their business or spend it with their families, that's really what we've got to focus on. Yeah, well, I think New Zealand is a very attractive place in the world. If you think about New Zealand, it's one country of 195 countries on Earth. We have 5 million people in a world of 7.6 billion. So you have to believe over the long term that New Zealand is a very good tourism proposition for Chinese, for Europeans, for Americans, South Americans, Australians, Southeast Asians. So it's a good proposition. But yes, we have started to see a slowdown in tourism for a number of different reasons. It's predominantly a slowdown from Asia, and actually the American tourism numbers are holding up very well. But we have to keep working at improving the product and the services that we offer and can sell to Chinese visitors into China itself. So for me, a lot of it is, there's a lot that we can do to try and make business much easier for people to do and to innovate around. It's interesting, in East Tamaki there is a lot of Chinese businesses that have, China's an interesting place for us to export to, because since the free trade agreement we've had $2 billion worth of exports grow to almost $17 billion at the end of 2018. And that means that a lot of good businesses, particularly in botany, are really understanding that China is a big leader on innovation and a lot of the emerging technologies. The e-commerce platforms, as you well know, have really disrupted the market and are incredibly powerful. And the third thing is the Chinese consumer themselves is increasingly demanding, discerning, and after high quality, high value products. And so if you can sell New Zealand products and services that have high provenance or quality, as we would say, from New Zealand into China, those businesses continue to do well. And so I think a lot of it is about New Zealand business understanding the Chinese consumer and the Chinese market better so they can deliver their products and services better. Yeah, well, my view is small increases in minimum wages are quite possible when you've got a very strong growing economy. Mm-hmm. But you don't increase minimum wages when your economy is stable or slowing down. And so the economic proof over the last 30 years would say you can sustain small increases, but your economy needs to be growing in the 4% plus 5% type range. And so it's a difficult time as a result to do that. And you're right, there's a lot of inflation, because if your bottom salary is this, then you have all this other inflation right through to the top. So I think that is a challenge at the moment in terms of the speed of increase in minimum wage. The rate by which you do that change is important. Absolutely. Yep, I'm very confident the National Party will win this year. Well, I think we have immense amounts of strengths in the National Party, because I would put to you that there is no party, it is strong, it is united, it is well resourced. Yes, it's in opposition, it's not in government, but it's a very strong and the biggest party in this country. What I would say to you is the reason I joined the National Party is for two reasons. One is that it has incredible talent in terms of very good people. People can be former teachers, they often are police people, they've been in the armed services, they might be leading academics, they could be people like me who've come from a big business background or a small business background, they might be farmers. So there's a real diversity of people coming from all occupations, and secondarily there is a real diversity of people coming from all ethnicities as well. And so that's what really attracted to me. It's a broad membership and it's a broad bunch of people, and I know from a leadership point of view, when you have very diverse people, you make that much better decisions and you can represent New Zealand in a much better way. The second thing I would say is that the values of the National Party, I would argue and put to you, are actually Chinese values, which is that we work incredibly hard. If we have success, and you get commercial success or other success, that's fantastic. That we care about our families, we care about our communities, and we believe in personal responsibility and equal opportunity. And those are things that I see demonstrated every day in the hard work that I see from the Chinese community here in Botany. The gentleman that I met with today arrived here in 1972, did 2 jobs. Stephen Wong did 2 jobs for from 9 to midnight, and ended up then getting enough money together to buy a house, to buy a business, to build a business. And I see a whole generation of new immigrants coming from China doing exactly that now again as well. And so those are the values that I think are very much my values, the National Party values and the Chinese values.
Great. But I still got a...
And on the other side, I would put to you that I think on the Labour Party, everybody is the same. They all come from the same background. Not a lot of business, not a lot of exposure to farming, not a lot of exposure to anything other than sort of urban liberal background.
According to our population, right, 5% population, we should have more Chinese MPs.
Right.
So we are working on this. There will be more eventually, I believe. But at the same time, we need to find good, qualified people to get into Parliament. So we need to balance. We are not trying to make up a number, so that we can more MPs. But at the same time, we need. But on the one hand, we need to encourage more people to get to Parliament, Chinese MP, and have more Chinese MPs. On the other hand, we need to make sure these MPs can really represent the Chinese community. So these 2 factors we need to balance. But at the same time, I think the party has been very, very supportive of getting more Chinese MPs.
Okay.
愿用这一段用中文再说一遍。
Oh, okay. Just was saying that you should say this in Chinese.
No, that's good.
Make it clear. 就是呢，国家党呢也非常希望有更多的华人国会议员，就说从国家党出来哈。那么现在就是我一个人，但是这个状况肯定应该改变的。那么呢，但同时呢，我们也希望能得到好的华人进入国会，而不是只是为了有这个人数，对吧？所以呢，一方面是我们5%的人口，华人5%的人口需要有更多的这个国会议员；另一方面呢，我们也希望有好的华人，真正好的华人进入国会，为我们华人社区服务。所以这2者之间要有一个平衡。
明白。
欢迎他们加入国家党。Welcome Chinese people to join the National Party.
所以呢，当然一方面是我们党要努力的寻找好的这个候选人，但另一方面呢，我们华人呢要积极参政，加入党、入党，然后呢这个积极从政，这个呢也是会帮助我们有更多的华人进入国会。
Yep.
明白。然后
Very simple pathway. Register to vote, vote, become a party member, become a candidate, become MP.
Yeah, simple, very simple. And let's talk about the government, Labour government now. So, any comments about the coronavirus?
Any comments about it? Well, a couple of things. One is I think we all felt that the initial response was a bit slow in terms of identifying potential patients, sharing information and making sure our health services are well prepared. Obviously, we've gone on today to announce cessation of services between China and New Zealand. I think that position is pretty consistent with the US and with Australia, but most importantly, it's consistent and aligned with what China did 10 days ago, stopping tourist groups coming to New Zealand as well. And so I don't think that will have, when I look at it from a business perspective or an economic perspective, tourists will be able to reschedule and come to New Zealand at another time. That will be no problem. And students, I think, will be able to get through that period and be able to start the new year before school starts or just around that time. So I think it's a decision that's consistent with what's happening. I think our personal view is that we would have liked to have seen more speed and more decisive action up front.
But at the same time, we hope the government could communicate with the public better. At the moment, lots of confusion. So they imposed the ban but at the same time, they should have done much better job in communicating with the public and the international students what they could do, or what they should do, right? So that will be a very assuring.
Yes. So I'm hoping that if it's being reviewed every 48 hours, as the Prime Minister has said, that the government will continue to look at it on that regular basis, that we can hopefully get it resolved very quickly, because I think we need to get those families reunited pretty quickly. It was good to see Air New Zealand, my old company, helping by getting New Zealand citizens and residents back out of Wuhan into New Zealand. Yeah, well, I think what's really important that as time goes by and people's incomes raise and they have an increase in income, they then end up getting into higher tax brackets. And one of the big things that we want to commit to as a government is make sure that we do what's called indexation of tax rates, so that actually we take into account that every year you're going to get a pay increase, and that shouldn't be the thing that throws you into a higher tax bracket, that those tax brackets should move up with the rate of inflation or at some agreed level each year. So that is something that we've already committed to doing and are very clear about, because there are a lot of hard-working people who are paying high levels of tax just because the salaries have gone up, but actually the cost of living has gone up much higher.
Inflation.
And so inflation and cost of living, as much as housing costs, transport costs, fuel taxes, all of that's been going up much faster than people's salaries. And so you have to be able to make tax rates rise, or the bands of taxes rise, so that people stay in a lower tax rate.
Sorry, another point. 就是国家党跟工党有一个很重要的区别，在税制上有很大的区别。工党呢是希望政府多收税，老百姓多缴税，它是大政府；国家党是小政府。什么意思呢？就是呢，政府少交税，老百姓自己多留钱。我们相信老百姓知道怎么花钱，老百姓比政府更懂得怎么花钱。这是我们跟工党最大的差别，在税制问题上。
Well, look, I mean, the reality is I want to make the biggest contribution I can. And so for me right now, what that means is that I have come out of a business career where I was successful. There are some things that are very similar in terms of the principles are very similar, but there is also lots of new things to learn as well. And so I describe it to someone that I said, I really feel like I'm in year 9 at a new high school, because I have to start at the bottom and I have to learn the electorate, I have to learn the party, and I have to learn the parliament. And so for me, I will make a contribution. I'll do anything that the party or the country wants me to do to be able to do that. The reason I have come to politics is because I think we have some very important opportunity. My job is to become the best local MP I can, to make sure that I get as many people in Botany voting for me and most importantly for the National Party, and then we go to Wellington and we get to work and get some of these things done for people.
Can I say a few words? Chris is a great asset to us because he has such strong business background and experience, and like many other MPs, Chris will have a great future in the party, but we are a team. We work together. We value Chris' contribution, and he can play a very important role in the future. But first of all, he needs to get into Parliament.
Yeah.
So he needs support from the Chinese community.
So I need you to vote.
So the Chinese community is particularly important in Botany.
Yeah.
Number one
group
in the world.
Yep.
So in New Zealand, number one percentage, very high percentage of Chinese in his own electorate. So it's very important. That's why Chris really values the opportunities like this to talk to the Chinese community. He does understand the community, understands China, understands Chinese culture, understands the importance of Chinese to New Zealand and to his own electorate. So it's very important.
Yeah.
The community members know Chris and also come and vote for